huge. It's a good thing that it was not hot that day, because thousands of people had gathered to hear what Jesus had to say. There were so many people there that some had even trampled on one another, trying to get as close to Jesus as they could. But things settled down once he started talking. What Jesus was talking about was, in essence, what one commentator called vigilance in the face of crisis. It was important stuff, because he was preparing his followers for the troubles and danger that were coming. When they bring you before the synagogues, the rulers and the authorities, he said, do not worry about how you are to defend yourselves or what you are to say. For the Holy Spirit will teach you at that very hour what you ought to say. Hearing that, it was clear that this was serious business about standing firm as a disciple of Jesus, even when things got scary. Jesus paused in his discourse, and out of the pause came the voice of someone in the crowd. That someone was a man who just piped up, sounding half angry, half pleading. He was a younger brother and the male head of his household. The male head of his household had died. You know this because of his request to Jesus. Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me. This problem must have been bugging him as he sat there all through Jesus' address to the crowd. His words just burst forth in that momentary pause like fizz from a can of soda that had been shaken up. You see, in Jewish society at that time, the firstborn son inherited a double portion of the father's possessions. It found that this young man in the crowd was not happy with how his big brother was doing business. But as he did with Martha in a recent gospel, Jesus did not answer directly the man's request for intervention. That would have been creating a triangle, which is usually to be avoided. Instead, he issued a general warning against greed and told a parable. As you know, parables can be viewed from various perspectives and suggest different things to think about. The parable of the fool who is rich in grain and goods is also rich with meaning. One commentator lists 5 ways of looking at this parable. They are possession, self-sufficiency, greed, hedonism, and something called practical atheism. Looking at each one briefly, let's begin with number 1, possession. The Great Recession, through which we've lived, struggled, and seem to be struggling still, reveals for us, a lot of us, that the pursuit of possession ultimately leads to a dead end. Whether possessions were overpriced McMansions, overestimated investments, underestimated risks, very little was safe, or a sure thing. The saying, whoever dies with the most toys wins, is foolish for the top 1% of the population as well as the 99%. It asks about the wisdom of acquiring toys and the preoccupation with having material goods. The teacher in Ecclesiastes would say, all is vanity, and the chasing after wind. As a matter of fact, the word used for vanity in the Hebrew Bible expresses an ephemeral or short-lived quality, such as breath. Whatever satisfaction there is in chasing after or having abundant goods or money, if that's what lights our fire, then we are living in the dark. Years ago, before going to seminary, when I tried my hand at Amway, it wasn't to get a good price on the product, it was to make money. It was to afford material goods, expensive material goods, especially a Rolls Royce Cornish. My friends in Christ, I was living in the dark, just as the fool in the parable who was already rich. Perspective number 2 is self-sufficiency. As the rich man pondered his fortunate dilemma of having an abundance, he considered no one but himself. It was his, and he had made it. How could he make the most of what he had to benefit himself? That was the question to himself. His soul. Some will say that he's only being sensible and a good business person. The issue in this perspective is that there were others who contributed to the rich man's success, yet were ignored. The most obvious would be the laborers or slaves who planted the seed, tended their growth, and harvested the results. Would there be ample goods for them too? The Occupy Wall Street movement might have had a lot to say about this perspective. Number 3 is greed. Yes. This is a perspective that everyone, whether we're in the top 1% of earners or the 99% that remain, we don't have to be rich to be greedy. The man in the parable, of course, was rich and could have contributed significantly toward the welfare of people in need. The man in the crowd with the complaints about his brother, me with my coveting of a Rolls Royce. Anyone who goes after more than is needed, more than is enough, is subject to Jesus' warning. Take care. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. For one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. Perspective number 4. Perspective number 4 is hedonism. The juicy part of the barrel. Eating, drinking, and being merry. Having decided to build bigger barns to store all of his grain and goods, The rich man basked in the expectation that he could relax, eat, drink, be merry for many years to come. He was fantasizing about being able to indulge his whims, pursue his pleasures, satisfy his appetite completely. Then what? Then what? For how long could you do that before thinking, vanity of vanities, all is vanity? Or to use a contemporary word, boring. Got that from Catherine. Where's the meaning? What's the substance in living that kind of life? The last perspective, number 5, seems to me to sum up the other 4. All of those attitudes, all of those behaviors, the preoccupation with possessions, the false sense of self-sufficiency, the greediness and hedonism are the result of what one scholar calls practical atheism. Nothing that we know about the rich fool indicates that he knows of God or believes in God. God is not in his life or decision-making process, which is why he thought and planned as he did. We do know God. We profess our faith in God. God is in our lives. If this is true, then God is in our decision-making process every day, not just when we're in church. Ours is a God and a faith of love and generosity. As a faith community, we try to reflect that in our ministries to one another and to our other sisters and brothers. By combining our grain and goods, including money, an abundance is created. We share that abundance through our food pantry and feeding ministries, providing new underwear and pajamas to children at St. Agnes Hospital, special offerings to Episcopal relief and development, and in other ways as opportunities and needs arise. We are practical believers, not practical atheists. So as we read about Powerball winners, or hear about inheritors of great fortune, or are encouraged to join organizations that promise big money, take care. Be on your guard against all kinds of things. For one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. Instead, set your mind on the things that are above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. That way, we'll be much more likely to be rich toward God.